No, just joking. I'm sure the sound's fine. Hi, Fabius Bile. Hi, Sam Nash, one more time. Adrian Michalis Memeh. Hello, Smilo Maniac. Some of these names I do remember from before. Hello, History, Shmish Mystery, and Mega 9. Are we reading this loud and clear? Is the sound okay? Sound check, sound check. What you could do is help me, because I know there's a number of good evening, Ray, Tom, John, Rich, Fabius Bile again. Yes, so you need to tell me if the sound's okay, and we can speed up this process because there's a number of you in here that are always here, and I'm pleased to see that you're always here. It's a pleasure to meet you. So you speed up the process so that when I start doing some things, tell me straight away whether the sound's clear or not, and then we can skip to the juicy bits, such as the leagues of Votan, which is why I'm here. Sounds good. Sound is okay. Thank you, Nurgle Pete. Thank you, Smilo Maniac. Smilo Maniac, you're here all the time, virtually. So next, I mean, most people watch this after us, right? Well, I'm not watching this. You're watching this, but I'm doing. You know what I mean? Anyway. So you're always, so you can tell me at the beginning, and Fabius Bile, anyway, it's Leagues of Votan. I've got the book. I'm here to talk. Let's smash this, people. Any law questions, any rules questions, let's talk Leagues of Votan. And let's put a thing in the poll. There's a poll create no highlight video. How do you damn do polls? Create a poll. Right. Are you gone? No, end poll for some reason. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. And don't answer that one. No, one person voted yes, and I didn't even put a question. Who voted? Who voted? I didn't even write a question. Put your hands up, please. Okay. No, not that button. Who voted? Poll. Hand up. No. Are you gonna? Gareth Morgan's got my eye on you. Are you gonna? Thanks for putting your hand up, though. Are you gonna get them? Are you gonna get them? Ask your community. Click. That's the question I wanted to ask. So, John Rich, you can't say you're Spartacus if Gareth has already put his hand up. Fabius Bile, I've seen 3, maybe 4 reports that they don't appear to be broken. They're broken. They're broken. Fabius Bile previously asked, how broken are Leagues of Votan? They're broken. They're broken. Their only saving grace is this. Okay. So the Leagues of Votan Codex is fairly broken. They've got all the good rules. They're going to be very resilient and very output heavy. Their weaknesses is they only have 2 proper assaulty units. The Terminators, which are 35 points for a 2-wound Terminator without an invulnerable save, unless you bring a specific League ancestry thing like Chapter. Then you can give them an invulnerable save. But they've only got 2-punch units, them and the Berserkers. So their weakness, their Achilles heel, will be full assault armies. Blood Angels coming at them really quickly, Tyranids coming at them really quickly, anything full assaulty, because they'll be able to fight off some of it, but they don't have enough units to fight off all of it. So if you get there with half of your stuff, plus your really fighty units, because they're full assault armies, will go through their really fighty units, because you'll have really fighty units. Anyway, that's their Achilles heel. So they do have a weakness, the Leagues, with the units that they have currently, which is all the stuff that isn't those 2 fighter units can't fight at all. So some people getting Leagues. Where are we? Smilomaniac. I might one day get the Codex, but not the models. It'd be neat to kit bash the entire thing and actually have it look 40k and fun. You don't think they look 40k? What about Tau? Did Tau look 40k? People didn't like Tau. I was there the day Horus slew the Emperor. I was there the day Tau came in. Necrons, even though at the start they were undead hordes in 40k, because 40k back then was space dwarves. I swear, well, the dwarves had died by then. But that's what it was, and that's what everyone knew it was. And then when there were space skeletons, no one complained, but people drew a line at the Gundam. My little brother's already getting them, so I've got to pass by the ancient custom of dibs. Yeah, so so you've got the Gundam, and now you've got Mass Effect. If you want to, I've been on a Mass Effect purge the last couple of weeks. I've smashed 30 hours of Mass Effect 1, and now I'm on Mass Effect 2 with the legend. So they're for people who just want to play classic sci-fi. These are a hardy cloned race that can not only survive but thrive in the galactic claw core where no one else can go. Claw, I nearly said it again. And they crack open planets and they affect gravity wells. And it says in the lore that it's always bright on the planets. The stars are all, even the night sky, like our night sky, like this is a late one tonight. When you'd look out there, it would be like, like the bright moon. It wouldn't even be like bright moonlight. It'd be like dawn light all the time because the number of the stars out there. And they thrive in that space. So that's why they have the stuff that they've got. And so you've got the Gundam race, and now you've got this race, and you have to have an advanced. This is a branch of humanity. This is what you could have had. Maybe if there was no emperor, maybe they could have spread out eventually. They've been in there for tens of thousands of years, but who knows? Tens of thousands of years' time, if they are not psychoactive or resonate in the warp in the way humans do, maybe that offshoot, this sub-faction, this separate species of humanity would come out and rule the galaxy. But they are so stuck in their ways. They do judge, they do sit, they are pragmatic, and they don't see themselves as conquerors. The least 40k thing about them isn't the models. The least 40k thing about them is the lore. Because there's not a lot of bad in it. These guys don't want to take over the galaxy. These guys don't believe in, they understand what the warp is in the way that pre-unification wars, pre-emperor Earth, many Earths understood what the warp was and chaos was. Hell, the Interrex in the second book or the first book of the Horus Heresy, they understood what the warp was and they were more technologically advanced. They were just much, much smaller than 2 grand expeditionary fleets, which have the power to crush not systems but entire sectors with ease. Their lore is the least 40k thing about them because they're rather good guys at the moment. So where are we? Guilliman's unnumbered sums. So how are they going? Oh, well, let's have a look at the poll. There is 140 people in here and 70% of you are not getting them. So 30 of 140%. Maths, it's like almost a third. Somewhere 42, 43 of you are probably getting them. So that's interesting. So as a sample size, that's relatively a good number. Relatively a good number if it was 10% or something like that. But no, it's less than a third. Less than a third. It's over 20%. So the sample size that we have here, over 20%, 30% in fact, but let's say over 20% because we'll adjust for averages because my community, that's a high number. Such a small sample size. Gilliman's unnumbered sons. I skipped your question. So how are they going to patchwork the whole squat colonies into the lore that they've been absent for the most part and have been represented as almost extinct? Well, they do cover it. They say that the squats leave the galactic core. Most of the time they don't bother. They don't want galactic domination. There's no need for them to go out there. They live and trade and work amongst themselves, and there's billions of them. But they do set out exploratory fleets from time to time, so they are aware of the wider galaxy over the last tens of thousands of years, particularly the Orcs and the Necron tomb worlds that have woken up and are aware of the Bane, the Tyranids. They do expand out, and it's been known for them to trade with the Tau, but way back with the Eldar. And they also set out on judgment fleets and attack fleet to do things. And they also set themselves out as mercenaries. And because many species don't really understand what they are, they see a particular league, a particular fleet as the Demiurge, and one were called the Demiurge, and they were virtually made extinct, and they are extinct. and some of the leagues go other ways and do other things, and there's quite a large squat presence on Necromunda and in other parts of the galaxy. But the truth of the matter is, the reason why they've been absent for the most part and haven't been represented and almost extinct, and I'm ashamed, is because the galaxy doesn't know, and we didn't know. We didn't know, and your version of the truth was the version of the truth that I had before this. And I did say in a live stream previously, before this book came out, this is the other thing about leagues, I did predict that Games Workshop would fuck up the lore for the leagues of Toten. Let's say that again. Run that back, cut. I said prior to this book coming out that Games Workshop would hash the lore to the leagues of Votan and the Horus Heresy right, as we'll put it right. And they had a lot of questions to answer, which was your question, Gilliman's Unnumbered Son, which is, where have they been? They're supposed to be absent. They're supposed to be wiped out. They have been represented as being almost extinct. Where have they been all this time? And they didn't muck it up, and they did it really well. I've read the lore through 3 times, and the bits fall into place really well. Generally speaking, the whole of the galaxy didn't know they were there, and they're happy that that's the way it's been. It fits, because the whole of 40k lore, we've never been shown the core before. It's always presumed to be inaccessible. Sam Nash, thank you for coming in the stream every single week. Thank you for gifting 5 members every single week. You are a legend. I very much appreciate you. And I'll look forward to seeing you on Friday, for our Game of Horus Heresy, where we're not filming, guys. We're not filming. Say thank you to Sam Nash, by the way. We're not filming, but Sam's coming round, and he's bringing a Warlord Titan, and I'm bringing my Reaver and my Warhound Titan. So Warlord versus Reaver and Warhound, and 3,000 points of AdMech going at each other. It's going to be glorious. We're just testing out the Horus Heresy rules. We want to play with our Titans as soon as we can. And I want to see a Warlord on the table, which is 3,000 points, and a Reaver and a Warhound is 2,500 points. And we're going to leave them in reserve. So if one of them comes on first in turn 2, well, it gets a free reign. But then the other Titans will come on, or singular Titan will come on and kill the other, potentially. Mind you, Warlords have 8 Void Shields. 8. You've got to get through all them shields before you even start wounding the bad boy. John Rich, they're back as GW needed more money and found something they lost down the back of the sofa. Technically, you're absolutely true, John Rich. They're back because GW always needs some money, because that's the job of companies, to make as much money as possible. So that's why they're back. And they have found loads of things they lost down the back of the sofa, like the Sisters of Battle, like the Custodies that got codexes, like Khorne Berserkers. Well, even before then, Thousand Suns and Death Guard and Squats are now back. But they're not Squats. That's just what we've called them. They're not really... Well, they're Squats. Yeah, that's the Imperial term for it. That's the low Gothic term for the Leagues of Votan. The kin. The Leagues of the Gods. And good. And I look forward to them bringing back... I'd really like to see some alien races in Horus Heresy, or rules for playing Eldar and Orcs in Horus Heresy, because surely that went down, and it's just a way to sell even more models. And I look forward to them introducing other races, such as the Harad could come in it. There's other races that I mentioned that are here or there, but I want to see new races come in it. Kroot, let's have a whole Kroot codex, please. With those snagger things, there's not snagger things, but those big dinosaurs that they ride on from the Forge World books. Let's bring in a lot of that. Kroot mercenaries. In fact, you don't necessarily have to bring a Kroot mercenaries book, a Kroot mercenaries codex, Games Workshop. What you could do is bring in, so a Kroot mercenaries, a Kroot codex would be good. I think we'd all like to see a Kroot codex, but what Games Workshop could do is release a codex called Xenos Mercenaries, and they have Kroot mercenaries in there that can ally with Tau, and other mercenaries that can ally with Tau, but have a rule where wayward Imperial Guard factions or wayward Chaos factions, or indeed wayward Eldar or other factions could ally with this particular, and you could have in this Xenos Mercenaries Codex, you could have, say, 3 different factions, but they're real factions, a bit like the Chaos Demons Codex, and you've got some proper Kroot upgrades and some Kroot stuff, then you've got some proper Harud and some Harud stuff, and then make up a brand new lace and stick it in there, and you don't have to make very many sprues or very many data sheets or very many stuff for each particular faction. Each faction could have 4 or 5 different units, 4 or 5 different units, 4 or 5 different units. Let's say they save a load of money and go to 4 units in each. Well, that's 12 brand new units. Well, they've already got Kroot. So the Kroot could fluff out for 4 more ones for the Kroot. And then 4 of these and 4 of these, a HQ and some troops, and then heavies or elites, and that's it. And they'll sell. They will sell because they will have this allied Xenos allied keyword, and the Votan could ally up with them as well, and this is short of units, and they'll sell. And then Games Workshop will be able to see which one sells the most, and then there's a brand new Xenos faction. That's how I would do it. Kroot eating Tyrannid could be weird. Yes, Kroot eating Tyrannid would be weird, but they would try. Allying with Tyrannid, no. Allying with Necrons, no. Allying with Demons, no. You know, put up a Xenos Mercenaries Codex. It'd be cool. Smiler Maniac. Xenos Mercenaries would be excellent. Sprawling army, no repetitive armor to paint. Yeah, and maybe, this is the other thing about a Xenos Mercenaries Codex, they would have a detachment where they could all join with each other. Sometimes Xenos mercenaries come together under a particular thing because they are all mercenaries, and they might be on and there's a reason why they're fighting a gene stealer cult and thing. There's a reason why some space marines are going up against them. There's a reason why, so they could work as a standalone faction in and of their own right. So in that case, make one of the Xenos mercenaries factions very elite heavy, one of the Xenos mercenary factions very heavy, and then have the Kroot doing what Kroot do. It would actually work well as a codex on its own. Votan aren't unbeatable, seem like fun and a different army. Of course, Votan are not unbeatable. Rewind! Back towards the start of the stream where I say that they have a big Achilles heel, the Leagues of Votan, and that is getting assaulted. They only have a couple of choppy units. They are very choppy, but they can be shot and they can be removed, and then there's no more choppy units. They're infantry, they're bikers, they're vehicles, they're devastators. They can't fight, none of them. So punch them. That's how they can be beaten. If you play against your mate's league army for the first time and he's got it up on the table and you're really keen to play against him, don't follow my advice 100%. You don't want to wipe out his army really easily and he's like, oh, that's my new army. So don't go full assault the first time someone plays Leagues of Votan against you. Or if you're a Leagues of Votan, one of the 30% that said they were, the first time you put them on the table, ask your opponent if you see a full assaulty list coming up against you, have a conversation with them, guys. Let's work together to make the game as fun as it can be. And because Leagues of Votan players will find out that full assaulty lists are going to ruin their world. Neil Adams would love to see a proper inquisitorial warband type codex with fleshed out units and specialist bodyguard types. See, that's the other thing. Okay, don't call it Xenos Mercenaries, call it the Mercenaries Codex, and in there, put Inquisitors as well. This is a great idea. So you've got Inquisitors and their warbands, and that's 4 or 5 units. You've got Kroot, you've got the Harud, you've got something else, and just call it Mercenaries Codex. And each of them can ally to whatever factions. Obviously, the Inquisitor section can ally with any Imperial faction and count as an Imperial agent. And then you can do that. But Inquisitors as well can hire mercenaries, can hire Kroot, can hire this, can hire that. So maybe that's the way you bring together the faction in the book. And so it becomes, so there's 2 ways you can do factions in the book. One is an Inquisitor, hires loads of mercenaries. One is a mercenary, the mercenaries get together and form a warband for some particular reason, or you can put the Kroot with the Tau, or the Kroot with the Votan, or the Kroot with Imperial Guard, Renegade Imperial Guard, things like that. Kroot with Gene Stealer cults. If you've taken over an entire planet and you're fighting for the day of ascension, and there's some mercenary forces on your planet, and because you've taken over the entire planet, you've got all the money. Because remember, when they uprise the gene stealer cults, the government dies, the main installations, people get taken out straight away, then it's a bloody affair of slaughter for the entire remaining population. Then they send in the guard, or the space marines, or the Eldar if it happens next to Webway gates or something like that. You get gene stealer cults fighting space marines. They're not fighting the normal populace. The populace is gone, and they've got all the money. And there's absolutely no reason why they wouldn't entice mercenaries towards them, more biomass to fight with them, and they're fight. You could ally. There's no reason why you can't ally them with gene stealer cults. And so with the Codex Mercenaries book, even call it Codex Inquisition and Mercenaries. Make it a new thing. Make it nice thing. You've got a chunk of the sprues there with Kroot and with the Inquisitor stuff, and they would sell like hotcakes, and people who like to convert, and the personality. I mean, you've seen the Necromunda models, guys. Some of the lovely Necromunda models, and the gangs, and the things, and the personality that Games Workshop is able to bring forth in some of the model ranges it produces, which screams 40k, just as much as a Space Marine screams 40k, or just as much as a Wraith Lord screams 40k, or even Angron, the Unbound, Angrath the Unbound, that, you know, that forge, just as those models scream 40k. A Tesseract Vault, oh, that's a nice model. The Necromunda models have so much personality. It brings the books to life, brings the back library to life, and things like that. They've got the model ranges, just expand them. Codex, Inquisition, and Mercenaries. Ching, print money, like my other print money idea that I had way back, which is the first super heavy plastic tank for Space Marines. You've got super heavy Baneblade, Shadow Swords, things like that. Imagine if all the Space Marines collectors out there, and all the Horus Heresy Space Marines collectors out there who want to get a super heavy tank, you can, because it's plastic, and the Baneblade costs 80-90 quid. So, and you stick it in the next Space Marine Codex, ka-chunk, and there's a Failblade, and 5 options of the Failblade, and you can just take it with your... Imperial Knights are a thing, Wraith Lords are a thing, Massive Demons are a thing. Why isn't there a plastic super heavy Space Marine tank in the Space Marine Codex? And by say tank, I mean a box which allows you to make 4 versions of a Failblade or something like that. And people will buy it because it'll have versions of the Failblade guns, cannons that you can't get in resin, like new guns, as well as the classic Failblade. They print money. I would get 2. I'm a Space Marine player. I'd probably get a few more than 2 because I've got Horus Heresy armies now. I'll show you this thing. Before I show you this thing, let's dump into the questions, because we haven't been talking about Leagues of Votan all this time, unless you guys have been talking about Leagues of Votan all this time, which is, I take my hat off to you, which I don't do. Swabilidius. They're surgical instruments, not bludgeons. Don't know what you're talking about. Let me go up a bit. Got an Eversaur Assassin. Does anyone else get that name confused? Eversaur Assassin. Every time I read it, it reads like Everest, or it reads like everybody. Yeah. Move your body. Yeah. Everybody. Backstreet's back, alright. It reads like something like that. You know what I mean? And then I have to reread it, and it's Eversaur Assassin. Yes, Eversaur Assassin, scaled up, mercenary things, would look cool. Maybe that's why you're talking back. Surgical instruments, not bludgeons. Eversaur Assassins. They're also bludgeons, let's face it, and they blow up. And Vanis is king. Let her rip, Winters. I brought a warlord. If I bought a warlord, I'll have to remortgage my house. Yes. Me too. Shitlord. Shitlord is his name, by the way. I'm not calling him a shitlord. It's like, yes, me too. Shitlord, not you, shitlord. His name is literally Shitlord, which is respect for that handle. Anyway, let me show you this thing. Test. I managed to get my hand on... I don't even know how you do this. There we go. I managed to get my hand on 2 boxes of Mike 4. No. Turn around, you bastard. That way. Everything's backwards. There we go. Sort of that way. Everything is... I've done the purple. I just need to do null and oil on the other bits. and a bit of dry brushing. But I managed to get my hands on, because as you already know, I spent 140 quid on just Emperor's Children breastplates. I need 50 Emperor's Children breastplates. But these came up. Sam actually hit me up in the Winters SEO Discord. Become a Winters SEO channel member, and then you can get into my Discord, or you can join me in the deployment zone. Get into the deployment zone Discord where I also hide. Said these are out, and I need Mark IV and Mark III and Mark II, because I'm doing Loyalist Emperor's Children from Isstvan V, the Loyalist of the Loyal. And they didn't have Mark VI armor back then. Well, they would have had some very limited proto-production. Well, not proto-production, it was being shipped out, and it was in the prototype phase before the start of the fratricide, before the first shots was fired at their own legion, and mainly amongst the Alpha Legion and the Sons of Horus and the Raven Guard, and the Imperial Fist got a chunk of them when they relieved Kane's Forge in the Mechanicum Schism in the Great War on Mars. And then some of the legions had some of them. So I don't want to represent that on it. So them, I've got 2 boxes. I thought it'd be 30 miniatures. It turns out to be 60 miniatures. So for 50 quid, you get 20 guys. Absolute banging. So I wrote my list as well with Alex SEO. Yes, Battle Scribe, yeah. I wrote my list with all the upgrades and up to there, and it's a 3,000 point list, and it's lovely. And the only things I need to get is a Storm Eagle, Land Raider, and 2 Rhinos, and then I've got 3,000 points to paint, because I've got all the other stuff here already. And I hope to have that done by Christmas, which means I've got to finish the Necrons off, but I'm going to be focused on this. And this is a contrast I'm using. So here's Winters SEO Emperor's Children Painting Guide as quickly as possible, because I got 50, well, with the elite unit and the 10 Terminators as well, and they're an elite unit, but Palatine Blades, I've got 70 infantry. So with 70 infantry to do, here is Winters SEO cheat guide of painting Emperor's Children very quickly. Spray them silver, lead baiture. Then contrast stylish purple on all the bits, and let the silver still shine through. Touch up your bits of silver every now and then on the bits that you've gone over. Then you're putting on Gene Stealer purple on all of that contrast once it's dried, and then you paint in the details, leaving the silver, that's just base lead belcher silver still underneath. And then that backpack and the guns, I'm going to null and oil, touch of highlight on the end, but I'm not going to touch the purple again. It's just contrast, and the sprayed silver, contrast, pinkish on top, purple on top. Get them done real quick. Now, what is going to make them really pop though? Because they've got to really pop, because these are speed painted, and lots of you have probably seen the speed painting tutorial, but when you get them down, look, I've been painting, but when you get them down on the battle grid, what really makes them pop is the bases. And so all of these will be very basically painted, but they're going to be on gorgeous bases. These are from James from marchofwar.co.uk, makes resin bases, and I've asked him to design some Horus Heresy style bases. And I gave him some designs, and I gave him some looks at what I'm looking for, and he's going to make a whole new base range, which is going to look like the shattered battlefield of Isstvan V. Some slabs, some bits of torn up metal, in places dust. It's not going to be as regular as this, it's going to be irregular, so some slabby bits, some earthy bits, some torn metally bits, and I will use that as my, and he's got some ideas and seen the paint, and I've got some other things I told him, and yeah, and obviously can't sell them as Horus Heresy bases, but I've suggested that if he sells them, these Horus Heresy Isstvan 3, and he can't say these are Isstvan 3 bases either, because they're inspired by the books, right? These are bases. Here's the thing, it's not, it's about creating something that Games Workshop doesn't currently supply us. Like if these bases were available right now, I'd smash them out. I bought 50 Emperor's Children breastplates for 140 quid because Emperor's Children have the Aquila on. All of these have got Emperor's Children helmets, by the way, and I bought all the backpacks as well. All the where are we? Shoulder pads as well. Because they're going to have the wing claw. And I'd like Isstvan 3 bases, Games Workshop, and because you don't do them, James from March of War is going to design them and make them. And yeah, they'll be for sale. I think you should call them Betrayal. Just call the bases Betrayal bases. But I don't think that people will click on and go Betrayal, because people look for Ruins bases or Shattered Temple bases or Sandy Desert bases, and then they'll see Betrayal bases. They'll be like, I'm not looking for that. So maybe Betrayal, Broken Ruins, Betrayal. You can't use Isstvan 3, you see. So, but suggestions on a postcard, send them to the Emperor of Mankind, and I'll pick them up next time I chat to him, who's Luton. Or put suggestions in the comments thing. Right, where's the chat? Where are we? We haven't... Leagues, guys. Leagues. Where is the Stay on Target tribe? We are 32 minutes in and we haven't talked about leagues. Well, we have, but we just sort of glanced by them. It's like that meme with that guy walking down the street, looking over his shoulder that way. We're walking down the street with the girl who's the Votan, but we're looking behind. Come on, guys. Broken Oath Rubble, Ruins of... This is a good idea. Ruins of Betrayal. I'm writing this down. Slow down. Broken Oath Rubble. I like that. If I saw that and I was looking for bases and I saw Broken Oath Rubble bases, I'd be like, man. Ruins of Betrayal. That's another good one. Ruins of Betrayal. I'm writing all over my list. My Emperor's Children list. No one asked me about the Emperor's Children list, did you? Hi Winters, love your stuff. Hi Kid A. Where are we? Loyalist versus Heretic bases. No. I like Ruins of Betrayal. I like Ruins of Betrayal. Drop site bases, that feels more like Drop Site Massacre 5, Isstvan 5, which wouldn't it be nice to have all the armies from the Isstvan 5 Drop Site Massacre? This is a dream of mine. This is a dream of mine, and I swear, people, one day it might probably, maybe come true. Have all the armies from the Isstvan 5 Drop Site Massacre and just film 10 battle reports with it, and the first couple, and it doesn't have to be the Eye of the Storm, but it tells the story. So the first couple of the battle are the surge into the Emperor's Children and Death Guard and Sons of Horus's lines, and you do some over here, what happened over here, what happened over here, what happened over there. Then a couple of them are the Betrayal as the Iron Warriors and the Alpha Legion and the Night Lords attack. And so you've set the stage, and maybe that's 6 battles, and then the last 4 are just the slaughter and the breakout with all the armies, but also not just all the armies, but represented as they were at Isstvan 5 in the forces and the detachments, in the way that they fought at Isstvan 5. And then with some... You don't need much ruins because the whole idea was it was in the Urgal Depression. There wasn't much cover there by design. Yeah, that would be epic. I'd love to do that. Anyway, where are we? Ruins of Betrayal. We're getting views for Ruins of Betrayal and Broken Oath Rubble. Yeah, I guess so. If you're searching for custom ruins, or custom bases ruins, and that's in your Ruins of Betrayal would so a Broken Oath Rubble is good, but Ruins of Betrayal, yes, sings Isstvan 3 to me. So we will I'm painting them and Ruins of Betrayal bases in a week or two, and I do all the and then when you put these basic contrasted models with basic techniques on really cool bases all over the place, it's gonna look really cool. He says, you know, it will look cool. It will look cool. It will look cool. Desolation of Treason. We're stuck on Ruins of Betrayal, Kid A. Okay. Thank you for you're a bit late. It's nice that you tried, that you're shouting out from the back there. Desolation of treason. I appreciate you taking part, okay? Participation trophies all round. But a bit quicker. Yeah, if you were there at the, you know what I mean. Did your teacher sometimes say, look, come along? I mean, was it, or is that because you were so intelligent or so creative, because let's face it, most of us here are very creative people, that you were drawing all the rude pictures at the back of the class like I was, and looking out the window and thinking about space robots? Is that why you're a bit behind? Maybe because you're just a creative genius, kiddo? I'm talking to you. Hello? Hello? Why? Or is it just, you just thought you would help, which is nice. Maybe you're a creative genius, definitely. There you go. You and me both. At the back of the class. I was a bit behind. Very slow learner, me. But when I got it. It takes a while to stick in there. Any new thing, particularly when all the new codexes and all the new stuff and all the new, sticking it in there, it's hard. But once it's in there, it's in there. Which is why we're here today to talk about the leagues of Votann. Cameron Stacey hot squat takes. League stay on target tribe. Hands in the air, DEFCON. Okay, hands in the air. I need to see the hands in the air. Then I'll realise. And then when there's more and more and I'm overwhelmed by hands in the air, I know. But there's no point in putting hands in the air right now. That's how the stay on target tribe thing works if you want to take part. Okay? Right. Where are we? Imperium Vox Network. Which League of Votann would you play first with? There are two. I mentioned them both in my review. They're all actually not bad. But the one that gives you extra toughness everywhere is like, okay, there's a rule that I don't need to think about. Everything's got an extra toughness. The other thing that one does is all the leagues have ancestor judgment things. So you basically get two things. Like a chapter tactic will give you like, I don't know. Ultramarines can fall back and shoot and they get +1 leadership, where you get 2 chapter tactics here, but you also get ancestral judgment and the one that gives everything an extra toughness. The second part of it is you reroll morale, which is something Space Marines can't even do now. Oh dear. The other thing you do is get the ancestral judgment, and what it does is every enemy unit counts as having 1 judgment token on it anyway. So every 6 so you've got an extra toughness you don't even have to think about, and any 6 to hit all the time will always auto wound, and then you put extra tokens on. So I think that will be the best one because of the least number of rules to remember. But there isn't really a bad one in here. There are stronger and weaker, and it comes to playstyle. I do like the first one. The Greater Thurian League is the one which, the squats that we've all seen, that color scheme, that teal blue type thing that you've seen them in, the one that they use on most of the boxes. Their ancestor judgment is really nice. It is, if a unit has a judgment token on it, it always counts as 1 higher. So if it's got 2 on it, it always counts as 3. So bear in mind that a Carl and a High Carl can give out 3 judgment tokens a turn every single turn. And so by the end of the game, that's 15 judgment tokens. And every enemy unit, 1 enemy unit at the end of the turn that's on an objective will get a judgment token, and you don't lose them. So that one has it this turn, next turn it'll be over there, next turn it'll be over there. And also if you've got one with a judgment token that wanders onto an objective, then you can put another judgment token on it. Well, the Greater Thurian League, the one that they're all painted in, always counts as 1 higher. So for a unit with 1 judgment token on counts as 2, a unit with 2 judgment tokens counts as on 3. You don't ever need to put more than 2 judgment tokens on any enemy unit. So that one's really good just because of that particular ability. And I think the squats the leagues of the gods will truly shine with the judgment token things. That's where this book is a bit broken, because it breaks the leagues of Votann are inherently broken because they break one of the core. How do I want to say this? The leagues of Votann are inherently broken because they break an inherent core mechanic of the game. There are mechanics which we play the game by. and it breaks one. And the core mechanic of the game is hit, wound, and save. If you hit something, wound something, and it doesn't save it, it dies. That's how to kill. That's how to play in 40k. That's how to kill it. And you can't re-roll wounds against this, and you can't re-roll damage against it. So the ability to hit, to wound, to force something, it breaks it, it gums it up. These are core things. Like any rule, like the Harlequin's rule or any rules that affect abilities to shoot, you can't hit on a 1, 2, 3. They're broken rules as well. Any rules like transhuman, you can't wound on a 1, 2, 3. These are all broken rules. Anything that stops an inherent mechanic in the game happening is broken. Anything that increases or reduces it is fine. The reason for that being is because we all pay with our points and through our units to have units that increase or decrease the abilities to hit or wound or damage to save. Guns and weapons hit or wound or damage or save. That's what they do, and you can increase damage, reduce damage, increase AP. The best psychic actions in the base psychic spells in the game, psychic powers in the games. People ask me this all the time. What are the best psychic powers your codex can have? What should I take? So Prescience, Miasma of Pestilence are a perfect example. Anything that increases or decreases your opponent's ability to hit is a brilliant psychic power, because that affects one of the core mechanics of the game, the ability to hit. Any psychic power that increases or decreases your ability to wound your opponent or damage your opponent, but typically hit or wound, is a core mechanic of the game. So any psychic powers like Doom and Guide are perfect examples. If you doom a unit and guide a unit in whatever edition, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th edition, if you doom and guide a unit, you can feel that in the mechanic of the game, it really hurts a unit. Rerolling to hit a unit, rerolling to wound a unit, you're wiping units out. So the most powerful spells you can get are ones that increase or decrease yours or your opponent's abilities to hit or wound. It affects a core mechanic of the game. If you introduce mechanics of the game that break that, this cannot happen on a 1, 2, 3, either to hit or to wound, or completely negate re-rolling wounds, or completely negate re-rolling damage. Remember, we also pay and bring units that can re-roll this, or can re-roll 1s, or can re-roll damage rolls of 6s, or can anything that stops that entirely, shuts down things like lieutenants or other things that you might deliberately pay points for. So it breaks a core mechanic of the game. So it's broken. If you're designing rules, from my humble point of view, there should be some core things that you should never break. And one of them, you can increase or decrease the abilities to hurt, to wound, to damage, to save, whatever game system, AOS, 40k, Battletech, whatever game system. But if you stop something from happening, other than, say, an invulnerable save, other than, say, an internal warrior rule, other than, say, a rule like a D weapon, other than something that is off the chain, you can have these hero hammer things broken in there. But apart from those individual units that can stop something at the last moment, not all the build up, but at the last moment with some kind of heroic, some kind of thing, because we all love that sort of thing. That's great. But anything baked in to a army-wide system that stops that is broken in the most true, literal sense of the term, as in breaking the rules of the game. And once you find ways to abuse that, and people will find lots of ways to abuse that, it will be horrifying. Wee man, rules come later. Love for an army that's been gone for so long can sometimes... Yes, exactly. So, my personal thoughts on the League's Votan. I'm not blown away by the model range. I've discussed it before. I'd like to have seen more, and particularly some cybernetic AI, not cybernetic, but some AI monster machines that fight with them. They have the Ironkin and the Kin, so why don't they have Ironkin monster machines with them? Not blown away by the model range. The rules are broken and don't entice me to play, because their play style will be Space Marines on acid without the flexibility. But what is an absolute win in this book, I think, is the lore. Now, there are some gaps here or there, and some questions here or there, and some questionable decisions that they made here or there. But generally speaking, the lore works and it fits, and I didn't expect that at all. So well done to lore writers on this one. 2 color maximum. Something along the lines of Castellan robots would have been cool. Yeah, but imagine them sentient, because they're AI, they're Ironkin. Surely within the lore it exists that they have, but I think what Games Workshop did is played safe with the model range, and they've given us berserkers, and everyone loves berserkers and berserks. Yay, they'll sell. They've given us not terminators because everyone loves terminators, not razorbacks, not land raiders, not devastators, and the land raiders, and the not razorbacks, and they're not. They look really cool, don't they? Those 2 vehicles. Oh, they look nice. They don't look 40k. But neither do the Tau. I'm okay with that. They fit. There will be pockets of the 40k verse. Well, prior to the Emperor, there would have definitely been pockets of the 40k verse that looked like that. After the Emperor, nothing left. Except for those that couldn't be touched and couldn't be reached because they were in the galactic core. They see it works. And the reason why we don't know anything about them, and the reason why we thought they were extinct so many times over, is because we only saw fragments of a species that is billions, potentially trillions strong, on hundreds of worlds. 2 color maximum. They remind me of the car Homer designed in The Simpsons. Nice. I can't remember that particular episode. Wee Man. Well, that's the other side of 40k. We've got to hate the new thing. Exactly. It will settle down over time when the squats settle in nicely. And they will. Just like the Tau did, and they can't exist. You can't drop the squats in a bucket full of hate that is 40k without some of that blackness coming off of them over time, right? I mean, look at the Tau and their 5th sphere of expansion. They've gone full fanatical Tau. They killed all the crew, all the non-Tau species that were left of the 5th sphere expansion. They were like, nah, all the humans, everything. They're just Tau. They are the 5th sphere fleets are the Black Templars of the Tau Empire. And then it got a bit creepy with the materials as well. You know, the Tau got pretty dark. The squats will get darker. You can't drop them in a bucket of tar and expect them to stay clean. I'm bummed that the rules Amsterdam. Nice. I'm bummed that the rules are broken, but I'm buying the army for the modelling painting project. Yes, I do like the mining space explorer. Yes. If you like the models, get the models. And like I say, I like those trucks. They look really cool. Wouldn't it have been cool if there was so they brought us berserks and a walker suit, like the war suit, but full on, you know, like the Space Marine war suit, but like a cross between that and Avatar, and with those big roll bar things. But that would have been cool. Why not one of them? But even then, that walker suit, you don't need to put a person in it. You could put an Ironkin in it. So say there was like a robot driving a robot. Space Marines have done Space Marines and Space Marines before. Games Workshop have done that. The Centurions are Space Marines inside Space Marines things. There's a suit of power armor inside a suit of power armor with a guy wearing it and driving it. They could do that with the walkers. Oh dear. Like the Invictors the Invictor warsuits from Marines. Thank you, Wee Man, Cameron, Stacy, Alien Loader. See? They can have AI, Ironkin. Why haven't they got... I'm sure they've got that. And I'm sure we'll see in Codex number 2, what they need to do is they need to have their own... The Ironkin AI, you see. They've never had their war against AI because the cause... are the kin, and the kin are the cause, and the Ironkin, and then they're all bound around each other, and they grow, and they've evolved together like 2 strands of a double helix, like 2 vast ancient oaks whose branches have wrapped round each other, and if you cut one down, the other oak will collapse. They've existed, and they were designed to survive and thrive in the galactic core. The AI never went rogue. The AI is as part of them as they are a part of it. It works. The law works. Damn it, Games Workshop, you made it work. And now you've dropped them in tar. Cameron Stacey, I wish they were more mining industrial looking, felt that they should have Gs. Well, yes, but those are the miners. These are the ones that either fight as mercenaries. These are the ones that go on vengeance fleets and prospecting. These are the military. If you like mining, get the cults. But why would they send their miners to war? You can't send children to war anyway. It's not allowed anymore. But perhaps we should send children to war, because one day they'll take over the planet. We need to stop them. Inquisitive X. Hey, Inquisitive X. Have you been here for some time? AI be like, F these humans. I'm going to make my own humans better humans. Yeah, it was kind of like that. Only it's heavily implied that the humans and the AI and the thing, they were made together. They were created together. Their first proper history is of these vast arc mining ships. That's their first proper history. And the Votan were always with them, and they were always with the Votan, which are the ancestor cores, the gods. So I don't think the AI made them originally. I think whatever they set out from old Earth, that's their legends. Their legends say they set out from an old thing, and they now know with what... This is the interesting thing about their lore. They don't know where they set out from originally, but given all the knowledge that they have of the galaxy now, and they have as much as they need, they know everything pretty much, it would seem. They know, or they believe, that it was Terra, that it was Earth, that it was called Earth, that it was then. But their history actually doesn't join the dots. But it's the only logical choice. It's the only... they know what they know. So they didn't say Interrex, they didn't say this, they didn't say that. They could have said many other parts of human civilization that was split off during Old Night and before Old Night and even before then. But and even way back. But no, it's Terra. Which is... So it leaves, as Games Workshop always does, it leaves that sliver of doubt in there. Well, maybe it wasn't Terra. Maybe. But they believe it was. And so whatever set out from there originally didn't end up in the galactic. It was sent there. And the AI and the clone species, the STCs, and that the AI knew, or the AI is an STC. Again, that is heavily implied but not said, but it's got to be an STC. It's the only thing that could do it, that we know of, that could have come from Terra or Earth. The only thing that we know of that could have done that is an STC machine, a living one. And the Eagles of Votan means that there are living STC machines. So this is a question I get. I thought an STC was just a pattern. It is. There's two types of STC. I think Luton did a video on it, or if not, there's many videos on it out there. STC, what is an STC? There are two types. There are the original STC machines, which could do anything. They are the MacGuffin. They are the Pandora's box that you can send out into space, and they could make anything, do anything, and terraform worlds and blah, blah, blah. And the whole of human civilization, as way back, at the peak, at our zenith, we had these STC machines. And we could go to a world and an STC machine is there, and it's already terraformed the planet and made the air breathable and given the human colonists everything they need to survive. So humans left, went there through the warp, stepped off, and here's a stamp-pressed world ready to go, Mass Effect, off. And nothing there. And there are also nightly houses that went off in this time, Titan Legions that went off in this time, but that's what went, which we know of, but that's what happened. That's one of the powers of an STC machine. You could send it to Mars, and it would terraform Mars in I don't know how long, and then you could, fine. They could make warships, they could make whatever they needed from these STC machines. It's in the core of 40k lore. One of the reasons why the Mechanicum... One of the reasons why they don't invent is because they don't know how to. One of the reasons why we don't have any science is because if the machines do everything for you, like I don't know how to fix this, but say no one did, but say because no one made it, no one at all for thousands and tens of thousands of years needed to know how to make cities because they got made for you. That's what an STC machine would do. That's the power of an STC machine. As the fall began, as the collapse began, as Old Night drew in with the birth scream of Slanesh, she who thirsts, STC machines began printing out copies, digital copies, USB drives, paper copies, copies and copies and copies and copies of designs. And that's what STC designs are. Now in the 41st millennium, there are no living, true STC machines out there. When the Mechanicum and the AdMech talk of their search for knowledge for STCs, they mean STC fragments. And there's an exciting bit in the Horus Heresy book once where they find an STC fragment for, I think it's a fork or a knife or something. And they go wild. The STC fragment design that turned Kalbor Hal from the side of the Emperor to the side of Horus. Horus said, "You fight with me and I'll unlock the vaults," where the Emperor closed the vaults and said, "Never go that way." The vaults of Moravec. The Emperor locked the vaults of Moravec when he came to Mars. It's an ancient forge where even the Martians didn't go, so at the time they were happy to say, "Yep, keep them locked, that's part of the deal, we dig it." But inside the vaults were demon engines, essentially, and designs for demon engines. The Moravec went dark Mechanicum before even dark Mechanicum was a thing. He was ahead of his curve, and he fused the power of the warp with engines, demon engines. Emperor locked it, said never open it. Kalbor Hal was swayed to the side of the Horus Heresy because he said, I'll unlock the vaults, you can get in there. And Kalbor Hal was like, by this point it was, man, screw that bitch. I am so much more powerful than him. Look at all this whole galactic empire. It wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. Kalbor Hal is the equivalent of the Emperor in power and might and centuries and centuries and centuries old. Not on a psychic level, but on the power of the machine and the power of the machine. He's the G. He was the G sitting there on a throne, and there was an apple on a tree, and the Emperor said, "Don't eat it." And he wanted to eat it. And Horus said, "I'll da-da-da." But Horus also gave him 2 STCs. Fragments. And one STC fragment was some miracle of a revolution in energy capacity. And it would up the energy capacity on one single forge to hundreds of times the power of the whole of Mars already. And it was like, whoa. It's like going from fire to nuclear fusion. It was something. And remember, these are people who already had nuclear fusion and had geothermed the planet, and in the magma city they were using the power of a volcano to fuel that forge. So yeah, that's STC fragments, and that's the difference between STCs and STC fragments. And the Votann are STC machines, heavily implied. What else could thrive in the galactic core? Machines that change star systems. That's literally what they've been designed to do. So there's a version on the here's the Venn diagram. Here's the STC AI fabricator things. The ones at the bottom, they made machines that made machines. The ones along here, they made fleets and planets. The ones up here made warp drive engines and what. The ones up here made worlds. And then the ones up here made Dyson spheres that encased entire stars. And the ones up here siphoned off the Hawking energy coming off black holes. And the ones up here went straight into the galactic core with a hypercloned race, which they may have made. They may have made them themselves, but no, because back then the STCs were still tools of the human species. So it was designed that way. The ones that here were, you go and have a look what's over there. From the lore, what faction would you bring in? Matthew Clare Music, £2. Thank you for your donation. I'm sorry, you're the first donation of the day. The evening. This is a late one. From the lore, what faction would you bring in? That's a good question. Thank you for your donation. I've said it before a couple of times. I'll bring in a whole new faction. So earlier on in the stream, so if you've just come here now, I did a long rant. I did a long rant on let's introduce a Xenos Mercenaries Codex, and then I changed my mind to introduce a Codex Inquisition and Mercenaries. And go and watch that, because I would bring that in if I was Games Workshop. I would think they would print money. But one of the things I've been champion for some time is I'd bring in a whole new Xenos faction. I'd like to see a whole new Xenos faction in the lore, and maybe my Freudian thing towards a Xenos mercenaries thing is a way of introducing 3 factions. But I'd like to see a whole new Xenos faction. It's been a long time since we seen something like the Tau or the Necrons or the Tyranids turn up. The Squats are close, but they're not it. Unless they release, I want to see version 2 of this with Ironkin mechs and all that sort of, unless they do that, then I'm all in. Why can't there be, if this league's a Votan with all the mainly fleshy guys in it, and the Ironkin are an equal part of their society and and these guys mine stars, why isn't there 2 detachments in here? And one is the leagues of Votan and the other one is the Ironkin of Votan. And they can fight together. Their codex seamlessly knits together. So if you pick from the codex, you've got a chocolate box. But just like the Raven Wing or Dark Wing, Death Wing, or just like Raven Wing, Death Wing, just like other guys that have, why can't there be the leagues and the Ironkin? So they sell more Ironkin, they sell more leagues, and there's a whole new faction. That's the kind of faction I'd like to see. And make it new. I'd like to see an army that has, here's my idea for a brand new army. So yeah, here's my idea for a brand new 40k faction. This faction at 2,000 points will only have a maximum 20 models in it, so it's perfect if you're starting the hobby. You don't need more than 20 models in it, but they're all beautifully crafted, brand new Games Workshop sculpts, and we know what they can do with Obliterator size kits, Amble size kits, Mini Dreadnought size kits, Screamer Killer type size kits, and smaller. And you have a HQ, and they basically have troops, and they have some fast versions, and they have some elite versions, obviously. You don't need flyers, and you don't need Lords of War, because it's 20 models, and they're all pretty tough, and they're all pretty shooty, and they're all pretty punchy. And the fast ones go really fast, the shooty ones really shooty. And now imagine the lore and what look you could give them. You could make them completely alien. You could make them an ad-mechish type race, but I would go for some completely alien type species that we haven't seen. Ogres in space. Like ogres in the space, in the way that these are not squats, but the Imperium think they're squats. You can have stuff that they're called, I mean, we already have Bullgrins and stuff like that, but they're giving them a name where it's just not trademarkable, and that's what they are. That would be cool. So when you have like ogres, but don't make them ogres, make them alien type stuff. I mean, come on now. Don't make them look like ogres. Don't make them look like ogres, but give them the size and the build of an ogre, but they're alien and they're green and they're scaled or they're something, and yeah, and then they have these slabs of missiles and things, hunch missiles over their shoulder. The punchy ones are, so 2 of these, they come in units of 1 to 3, and 2 of these hitting a unit of 10 Space Marines. Oh, we're going to have a fight. They should go through them. But 3 of them hitting a unit of 10 Terminators, bang, we'll have, you know what I mean? That is what I'd like to see. It would be a perfect starter army. The models would look absolutely gorgeous. They would have a terrible amount of firepower in their shooting stuff. They'll have a terrible amount of punch in their punchy stuff. And everyone could get them. And if you want to sell more Games Workshop, put a particular rule in there called Allied Mercenaries. 25%, any other 50%, make it 50%, not like you did in the Demon Codex, make it 50%, and put a list of other armies that could take them as allies. Leagues of Votan, Gene Stealer Cults can pay them, Tau, Eldar, but make a list and then slot it in. It's a way of introducing true allied factions back into Warhammer 40k. You've done it already with the Demon Codex and the Chaos Space Marines Codex. Did you guys know if you collect Chaos Space Marines or Thousand Suns or Death Guard, there's a brand new codex out there waiting for you, and it's called Codex Chaos Demons, because you can take a 25% portion of Codex Chaos Demons. You can build 25% of your points can be from Chaos Demons, and it doesn't affect any rules in your army. They count as unaligned. So you can just slot them in. So if you've got Death Guard, Thousand Suns, or Chaos Space Marines, you're overlooking 25% of what you possibly could be bringing. You really like the look of that really big demon model with the wings and the things, and those Slanesh ones look cool. Then bring that HQ, troops, patrol, gone. You have a great time. They've brought it in. There is an allied codex out there. So I would bring in codex, not Ogrins. They would be aliens and they would have guns. And make them grimdark, make them vicious, make them eat flesh, make them a feral species. And the reason why is, and give them a name that we have from the Horus Heresy, like the Craig or something like that, or the, I don't know, pick one of those species that was in the Horus Heresy. Like, oh yeah, I remember that name. That the Crusade was supposed to wipe out. And since then there are cannibal, nasty, horrible things that are just warp inert. Don't make them go to chaos. Make them pariahs. So psychic spells can work on them, but they have natural magical defenses, so they're not. And they are just a vicious cannibal race that have hidden away because they're, because they got hit by the Crusade. Make them really have been really hit by the Crusade. Maybe some of them fled to the very outskirts of the Halo Stars, very far out there, and have come back in, or hidden away in tunnels, or make them radiate, like the Harad, right? The Harad can live in radiation. They're supposed to, it's all about radiation. Make them Harad. God damn it, make them Harad. Okay, the codex I would like to see is Codex Harad. This is the codex I'd like to see. And Codex Harad has only 20 models in it. And it turns out, something that we didn't know, and Games Workshop and they're hiding from us all this time, that Harad are all big. And they're toughness 5 with 5 wounds with a 3-up save base all the time. They're pretty hard to kill. It's like having, how many points are ATVs or little mini? It's having, yes. So if they're 100 points each, then 200 of them in a 2,000 point thing. Harad. And make them be white, but we know they've still been around since the Horus Heresy, even though they got a kick in. Make them be able to live in nuclear fire, because that's all their thing and how they do. And they fire radiation weapons and rad saturation weapons, and there's fast ones and there's heavy, and they live underground. They come up through the nuclear cores of planets, and they're in resurgence, and the Codex is coming out, because Great Rift people, galaxy in flames, cracked apart, dogs and cats living with each other, pure anarchy, Harad. And the Harad, turns out, look like space ogres, but alien space ogres, and boom, perfect starter army, cool AF, grim in the dark, make them cannibals, make them hate absolutely everyone, because as far as I can see in the lore, since back even in the time of the ancients and the War of Hera, the war in heaven, the Harad have had a kick-in forever. No one likes them, no one's allied with them, so you can't put in the allied mercenaries thing. Well, there's a downside to every idea that I rant about. Matthew Clare music again, thank you. The slaughter, the maggots and the corpse eaters. Yes, the slough. Yes, the slaw. The slough, how do you say it? But yeah, that's in Horus Heresy. Don't make them Harad. Make them the slough. They were, which one were they in? Book number 4? 5? Yes, no, they were in Legion, weren't they? Were they? I forget which book it was, but they certainly ate maggots. They certainly ate corpse eaters. No one will ever be able to call them the Slaw. That'll be the imperial name for them, the Slaw. I don't know. How do you say that? I don't know. But they'll have a name for themselves, which can't be copyrighted. They are the maggot dudes. I know they're the maggot dudes. But what Horus Heresy book were the Slough in? But they were great. Well, this ain't for me that... Okay, so the fuck did I just watch said, welp, this ain't for me. Ain't for me. Thought I'd check it out though and have a good one, boys. The fuck did I just watch? Welp, this ain't for me. Thanks, guy. Thanks so much. Thanks for stopping in and finding out it wasn't for you. Brilliant. What am I? But at least he was polite about it. Head of the Hydra. The Slough and Head of the Hydra. I knew it had something to do with Alpha Legion. Viridian Shallows. If you could add a faction from another sci-fi fantasy franchise into 40k, what would it be? I don't know. Maybe the Zerg or Aliens. No, 1 minute. That's been done. I don't know. I kind of like manga and Gundam Robot. 1 minute. Monkey, that was actually my nickname before I shortened it. What, slur? Space Monkeys all the way. Oh, Space Monkey was your name, Monkey, before you shortened it. I've only ever known you as Monkey. Okay, Enslavers though. Shitlord, we can't have Enslavers because things will go bad, Shitlord. Okay? Enslavers, they were a wave in the warp. They were what happened then. The virus reaction to the entire galaxy getting ripped apart on a physical and metaphysical level because of the war in heaven. They were the virus. They were when everything had balled apart, they were the white blood cells. They're not coming back unless the entire... If they come back, most sentient life has gone already. And they're just picking up the pieces. Luton, are you here? Luton is his house. The Emperor of Mankind has joined us. I've been taking I mentioned you in almost most streams. But it's nice for you to finally be here. If it is you. Clams, we need the sand clams back. Yeah, so that was my rut. Maybe you, Luton, should... Because I liked your recent one on, which was a bit speculation about the Emperor of Mankind. No, it wasn't on the Emperor of Mankind. It was something else. But you did a more... Being here for ages, you need to chat more. Thanks, Luton. If this is your first live stream, you'll notice that I'll read periodically. It's the mad rant. But yeah, I really liked your speculatory one on... That was interesting because I kind of did that with... That's what I've done with Quipster in the deep dive that I did. And we've done one for Echoes of Eternity as well. I'm still waiting for it so I can upload it. But yeah, that's my rant. This is how I present myself. My rants on, what I think faction should... But maybe you should let your creative imagination go wild. And, what faction could return in force in 40k. And also... I know, actually, that's really rude of me to tell you some ideas because I know what it's like from my point of view because people tell me ideas all the time. I'm like, yes, I know I've got 1,000 myself, plus I get 1,000. No, I'll do my... Yes, so ignore me. But yeah, it was about the Emperor. Thanks for checking it out. Luton, have you got that? It works. We need to see your one on this, okay? I know it's coming, baby. I know it's coming. But feed me, Seymour. Feed me. I need some more words from the Emperor. Everything you say makes sense. If you haven't checked out Luton 09, you do have Votan. Awesome. Good. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback on the whole thing. And then educating me on all the gaps that I've missed out. As a general feel, I think it's pretty good. I feel like an ocean-themed alien species could be cool, like squids and octopi. And no, you got to make it look. So Amsterdam, yes, an ocean-themed alien species would be cool, like squids. It would be cool. Pardon me. But here's 2 rules for you when going 40k with new alien species. 2 rules that I would adhere to. 1, rule of cool. The models need to look as cool as they possibly can. So when you walk and you see them, you go, oh my God, I want them. So like when you see like one of these, you go, oh my God, I want 3 of these. They need to look as possibly cool as they possibly can. And an ocean-themed species, you're stretching there. And the second thing, of course, is they need to be grim dark. They need to be grim in the dark, which this is kind of lacking right now, unfortunately. But they need to be grim in the dark so that they'll appeal to new people coming in, and they'll also appeal to, because they'll be awesome models, and they'll also be grim in the dark, so they'll appeal to existing players, I think, anyway. And I'm not sure. I think you're stretching the bounds of cred. It's a hard... That's under tension, that idea, to cross that bridge to, on the battlefield, cool species of squid clam monsters. Cool species of squid clam monsters that look awesomely cool and are very grim dark. But let's break this down. So this is why I don't read the chat, Luton. So you've got octopi and what have we got? Giant kaiju creatures. Pacific Rim. No, not Pacific Rim. Where are we? Skids, octopi and clam aliens. So squids and octopi, as far as I'm concerned, with your analogy, Amsterdam, are the same. And they're soft-bodied creatures, but sci-fi soft-bodied creatures. So we could make them hard-bodied creatures and they could have a gun in every single hand. and riding with some of the things on and like that, right? So what we've got is a hard-bodied squid riding a skimmer because you need fast options, and the clam ain't gonna cut it. So space octopi, hard-bodied squid. So we've got one's wrapped around there, one's on the handlebars. Maybe with its tech it only needs one, and then it can have 5. But it can't use all of them shooting, so there's a gun on one, a gun on another, a gun on another. So it's got 3 guns, as well as maybe the guns on the bikes. But no, you could have a targeting system and cool missiles on the bikes. So just leave the guns on the bikes and put weapons in every single one of their hands and have it swinging nunchucks and Kali sticks and a very heavy frying pan and have them going into the... Yeah, that would be cool. I'd buy that for $1. Where are we? Inquisitive effects. Squids riding lizards, inquisitive effects, taking it to another level, and that's why you're a mod. You're a goddamn genius. Shitlord, biochemical piloted robots. Yeah, I talked about stuff like that. Rory Outdoors, sentient mushrooms that start as spores and grow up inside exosuits. A bit like orcs. There's a thing there. Sentient mushrooms. Riding space seahorses. I love the idea though. Anyway, I've been banging on for well over an hour. These are supposed to be at an hour. I've enjoyed myself this evening. This was fun. I think we nailed some of this. I think I might have answered 3 or 4 questions. But before I go, so let's have the 10-minute warning or the 5-minute or the 2-minute warning, whatever it is for the Americans out there. Octopi should worship Khorne, 8 arms and all. Boom, Vex! He's smashing them out of the park tonight. Can we give a warm round of applause for Inquisitive Vex? Khorne worshipping space lizard riding octopus in space. That's the codex we all need. We didn't know we needed it, but now we know because of Inquisitive Vex. We needed it. Round of applause. You've got 1 round of applause there, Inquisitive Vex, from Conan Zillingre and Cillian Scythian. He also, yes, so there's 3 of us that applaud you because I think that's genius. Slow clap, Shitlord. I love you, Shitlord. Great name and slow cap. And we've got some more. Stay on target. So far off target, we are under sea in space. Yes. So, last round of questions. 2-minute warning, 10-minute warning, whatever. See about Votan, and then I'll be off ski because it's getting late, and everyone needs to go to bed. And the Americans are waking up, and we don't want it getting all rowdy in here, do we? No, they'll be coming in all here with their freedom and guns and stuff. And I wish I had guns. Imagine owning guns like a grenade launcher. Wouldn't that be great? You know. A lot of children outside. Did I mention that earlier? If you had a grenade launcher, they're going to take over the planet one day. They must be stopped. When will you preview? I did preview the Votan Codex History Schmishtamary. I did. It's on YouTube right now. I did a lore preview and I did a rules preview. I didn't break it down 100%, but I pretty much gave my thoughts and feelings about it. Do you want me to do a page by page? I don't want to do a page by page. Vanguard Wargaming, do you think the codex is overly complicated or simple enough? It's overly complicated. So, it's 9th edition. So you pick your units and then you pick, and the units all do something. And the leagues all have a special rule like void armor and tokens and stuff like that. That's what all the book does. And then you add your custom things in there, your custom leagues, and they've got 3 things that they do every single time, and there's a relic and there's a warlord trait, and then there's other relics and then there's other warlord traits, and then there's ways to upgrade 3 of the models in there, the Psyker, the 4G guy, and the Psyker, 4G guy, and the Carl into High Carl. They called it Carl. I know it's Kahl, but it's Carl. You know, like in The Walking Dead, Carl, you know, his kid, they called it Carl. Every time I hear Carl, I see the boy from Walking Dead. Back before I stopped watching Walking Dead, because it got a little bit shit, didn't it? I called them the Walking Clueless, because they kept doing exactly the things that you know you shouldn't do. They made all the wrong decisions all the time. So, what was the question? I thought I wanted Space Skaven, but today I actually realised I want Space Monkeys allied with Khorne worshipping space squids with guns riding lizards. So do I. Any more here? It's 7 p.m. on US East. Is it really? It's quite early. That's nice. There doesn't seem to be any more. Is there going to be any? I can't. Bat reps on the channel. Leagues of Votan bat reps on the channel. Maybe on Say Hi Paul. Say Hi Paul probably. I don't know anyone who's got leagues yet because it ain't out yet. But I know Sultan plays. Sultan, support by Sultan. Sultan plays YouTube channel. Check it out. I know that he's going to be going hard into leagues, so I'll get them on the channel. I'm very excited to play him. So when are you going to play them or fight them? I think that will be the first occasion. Are there going to be any? Yes. So maybe yes. I will. Sultan definitely in the pipeline. 3:45 p.m. in Cali, California. Whereabouts in Cali, Amsterdam? Because there's some bad places. And then we'll go. When will you preview? Yes, did that. Where are we? Is the Malice? Asked them. Thank you, everyone who stopped by the way. Thank you for being here and sharing this roller. I've enjoyed it. Yes, it was fun. We did that. We did the things. I'm waiting for Amsterdam to tell me where in Cali he is because I'm interested. You're holding up the class. History Schmistery, thank you, Winters. No, thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone for subscribing to, or maybe not, for subscribing to Southern California, San Juan, because that's a H, isn't it? San Juan Capistrano, close to the ocean, because you pronounce your J's as H's, like San Jose, isn't San Jose? And you're next to the ocean as well, close to the ocean. It's not San Jose, it's San Jose. So it's like, if you go out there in January and come back in June, that's how you say those things, I think, because it's the J as a H. I wish they'd just Luton. Thank you. Let's talk some sense to them right at the dying of the light. I wish they'd just gone more generic sci-fi. Yes. And not the classic Dawning Mine and Metalsmith Forge Master stuff. Yes. I'm tempted to file it all off mine and go generic Ancient Humans. Yes, I wish they had gone safe. This is safe. And as I said many times, I'm hoping version 2 has the Ironkin in it. So what they could do is go more generic sci-fi and not the classic Space Dwarf. They can have the leagues, the squats running around, but they could go more hardcore into the Iron King and the constructs that the Votan churn out and send into the battlefield. Or a brand new race. Jalapenos. We are going. Apparently, I could look quite close to you. Matthew Cheeseman, working a pub with a 120-seater function room, just saying. Well, Matthew Cheeseman, if you get in contact with me and you set something up, do all the work. They won't. It's going to be bloody beer drinking, singing, talk. Yes, it is. Yes, it's, yes, Luton, I'm afraid it's turtles all the way down. Or elephants riding turtles. No, 1 minute. Or turtles riding elephants. Anyway, that's it all the way down. Thank you for stopping by. They'll probably have a special character. Space Gimlet or something. Oh dear. A race like the Isstvan V from Star Wars books that hated all life forms of technology would be interesting. League of Votan just look very they are very overpowered. And they're broken. They break some core rules, unfortunately. And which shows a dearth of understanding of rules and how to craft rules correctly in the rules writing department. That's a damning thing to say, and I'm sorry to say it. But someone's made some decisions at some point, and it's not the right way to go. You are affecting other portions of other forces that you've paid and factored for and you've affected them unequally, because some armies will really lean on those more and some not at all. So it completely skews the curve whenever you do have transhuman or anything like that. Anything that does. Anyway, I'm going. They didn't play test the book. Here's my conspiracy theory. Before I go, here's my last conspiracy. This is set up like prior Demon Codex. So Demon Codex has got the Crusade in the back. This is in the middle bit. So the demon, this was done way before. This is done early 9th. And they've been sitting on it. Break glass in case of emergency. This is my conspiracy theory. And they did play test it, but they're already writing stuff for 10th edition. Codexes, rules, 10th edition. And they know how much they want to change this already. So they're throwing it out there because it was done. No Slaanesh bots tonight, Monkey. Thank you, Inquisitive Vex and Monkey, for being my things and hanging out. And thank you, everyone else. Thank you, Luton, for swinging by. Hope you enjoyed that. Press this, don't press that. And if you'd like to support me, then consider becoming a channel member to get access to all my videos going forward. Or you can join the Deployment Zone to get access to my videos going forward. And both of them has Discords. And the Deployment Zone project supports myself and Liam and the community that way, and helps me run loads of events and things like that. And then my YouTube supports me, Liam's YouTube supports him. If you just want to support me that way or Liam that way, you can. If you want to support the project together, Deployment Zone together, you can. It's entirely up to you. Many ways of supporting me, but you don't lose anything for you don't lose anything from me. There's nothing. If you get one or the other, you get the stuff in the paywall. And it keeps lights on. Right, yes. Bye. Night, everyone. Stream. Give a like on your way out the door. Thanks for swinging by. Happy wargaming.